What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just 12 days away from the King and Queen of the Ring from Saudi, and a lot transpired this weekend involving this tournament as WWE claims another injury in the first round, thus another substitution. This brings the total to 4 injuries and 4 substitutions in the first round alone. On top of that, the final 4 matchups in the first round transpired this weekend. None of them were televised. All 4 of these matches in the first round were all over the course of 2 separate live events. I have the results of those matches, and I have the entire results of round 1 for the men and ladies. And then we're going to take a look at the matches for the quarterfinals, and these matches are stunning. You can't believe WWE is putting these matchups in a tournament format. But these are massive matchups in the quarterfinals. And then the semifinals, the matches we believe are going to be the semis, are even more shocking. That's actually going to start this upload. So we're going to go over all of that in just a couple of minutes. On top of that, relating to the tournament, LA Knight is speaking out on a lot of fan criticism over his match being at a live event and not televised. A lot of fans upset they were not able to see LA Knight's matchup. Same thing with Tiffany Stratton, for instance. LA Knight is actually speaking out about that. He has given a statement as to WWE not televising his matchup. So we'll talk about that as well. You guys will see his quote. Also, speaking of WWE PLEs, the King and Queen of the Ring is not the only one coming up for WWE, as in 1 month, 4 weeks. It's the Clash at the Castle in Scotland, and a lot of fans in Glasgow, Scotland, they are not happy with WWE. Major reports coming out about their ticket pricing, and a lot of fans feel that WWE is doing them dirty. We're going to have to talk about that report as well. That's coming up in this upload. We're also going to talk 2 big executives gone from WWE. One we believe walked out. The other got Das Boot. And former WWE star, current AEW talent, sort of, is sounding off on that decision by WWE. So we're going to talk that as well. And that's not even it, but wait, there's more, because it looks like WWE's injury replacement bug found its way over to AEW, as one of the big matches at Double or Nothing has a question mark on it. One of the big wrestlers in that match might have been injured this past weekend at an event for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that big match at Double or Nothing, a little bit of a question mark on it. We'll touch base on that on the AEW side of things. So all of that, a lot more. I say BC's going to get a massive swig of coffee. You guys smash that up. Helps BC know you're fully amplified while helping out that algorithm. And we're going to start with the King and Queen of the Ring, a massive weekend that has flipped this tournament upside down. As mentioned in the cold open, all 4 matchups to finish off round 1, the final 2 for the ladies, the final 2 for the dudes, all took place at live events over the weekend, 2 separate live events. The advertised matches were Tiffany Stratton versus Mia Yim, Michin, Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega, LA Knight versus Santos Escobar, and Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio. Before the weekend even got out of the gate, Adam Pearce lays down a huge announcement that Zelina Vega is being pulled from the tournament, pulled from round 1, unable to compete due to injury. Zelina Vega would make the 4th individual in just the first round to be pulled from this tournament. Drew McIntyre pulled, unable to compete, replaced by Jey Uso. Asuka pulled from the tournament due to injury, replaced by Dakota Kai. Bobby Lashley pulled from the tournament, unable to compete, replaced by Angelo Dawkins. And now Zelina Vega pulled from this tournament, replaced by Maxine Dupree. So that is huge. 4 big replacements in the first round alone. You got to believe that WWE just laid down a lot of these names and then just wanted to change their mind afterwards. I can't believe that there's significant injuries to all 4 of these individuals, and they didn't know about a couple of. They definitely knew about Drew. There was reports about Asuka, but then a backup report saying it was nothing that would keep her out of the ring. And as far as Zelina Vega and Bobby Lashley, not too much known. It looks like a case where WWE just laid down a bunch of names and then just changed their minds afterwards. 4 injuries in the first round. Obviously, that's not good if these are all legit injuries. And again, Maxine Dupree was the replacement. Now, the results for these 4 matches, because again, they were not televised. A lot of you guys probably don't know the winners or how these matchups finished. Luckily, I got all that info for you. First and foremost, Tiffany Stratton defeated Mia Yim, Michin. Now, this was a simplistic powerbomb victory. No moonsault, nothing like that. Powerbomb from the turnbuckle, and Stratton lays out Michin, 1, 2, 3, and afterwards, Mia Yim is just yelling about how she's going to get the NXT North American Women's Championship. So it's like her mind wasn't even on the Queen of the Ring. She's focusing on NXT. I don't know. That's one of those things where priorities, Mia. So that was kind of odd. But a simplistic L. Just a power bomb. So it's the right call. Stratton cannot lose that match, obviously. But it's like no real effort got put into that. Kind of like over on the dude side, where Rey Mysterio was defeated by Kofi Kingston. It was a simplistic Trouble in Paradise. Just one simplistic Trouble in Paradise, and Rey Mysterio was looking up at the lights for about 26 seconds. So again, not a lot of effort got put into the finishes of these matchups. Shayna Baszler defeated Maxine Dupree with a simplistic tap out. Right call. It's realistic, right? So no problem with that finish. Just not a lot was put into it. So for those that are really upset that these matches weren't televised, you didn't miss much with the matches up front from what I am hearing, and you definitely didn't miss anything with the finishes. As far as LA Knight, he defeated Santos Escobar. I do not have any pre-knowledge on how that match finished. Some people, like BC included, think that interference would have been the best bet to save Santos. But on the flip side, I totally understand you want this tournament to have that prestige, so you don't want a lot of interference deciding these matchups. I just can't see, even though LA Knight is the right call, I can't see Santos Escobar just losing a match of this magnitude in a simplistic way. Like if it's just one BTF. Oh man, and that's why some of these matches, it doesn't get easier to book. Some of these matches in the quarterfinals, they're stunning because none of these individuals should be taking L's, for instance. So that's what I want to go over in about a minute. First of all, after the 4 matches were all said and done this weekend, the updated results for round 1 for the dudes looks like this. And again, I really want to focus more as you guys look at that list for round 1's results. I want you to look to the right, where this is the quarterfinal matchups. This is where BC's focus is. Gunther versus Kingston, Jey Uso versus Dragunov, Tonga versus Knight, and Hayes versus Orton. Couple of these matches, you got to be careful how you book this. You know Orton's going to defeat Hayes, but you got to protect Hayes just a little bit. And LA Knight has to lose to Tonga, because Randy Orton already said we're going to see each other in this tournament to Tonga. So they're already setting that up. They're planting the seeds for Tama Tonga and Randy Orton in the semis. So how are you going to have Tonga defeat Knight? I understand they have numbers, by the way. Bloodline, that's what I mean. The tournament has to have prestige. You got to be careful how much interference you're going to have. But I think that's the only way Knight can lose this, correct? Because that will be televised. And Knight will be looking up at the lights. The other 2 matches, pretty simplistic. I get it. Gunther over Kingston. Jey Uso has to drop it to Dragunov. But damn, then you look at the semifinal. Gunther versus Dragunov. They're putting that match in the middle of the tournament, or tail end of the tournament. But it's not like it's the final. And it's not like it's a standalone epic encounter at a PPV or PLE. This is just part of the tournament. And you're giving away Dragunov and Gunther. And the flip side of that semi, Orton versus Tonga. These are pay-per-view magnitude matchups. I mean, it definitely puts a lot of significance on this tournament, which is really cool and much needed because tournaments are so overdone. They're so redundant. They're so nonsensical these days. So that brings a definite breath of fresh air to the word tournament as it pertains to pro wrestling. But on the flip side, these are massive matches. Are you sure you want to put these in the middle of a tournament? And you look at the ladies' side of things. You'll see the results of their entire first round, but then again, I want to shift the focus over to their quarterfinals and what it sets up in their semifinals. Their quarters is Io versus Baszler, Valkyria versus Zoe, Cargill versus Jax, Belair versus Stratton. Belair versus Stratton. That is a 3 separate pay-per-view level matchup right there. A feud for the ages. They're going to throw that right to the tournament. Again, on one hand, really cool, man. That makes the tournament so much more special. On the flip side, are you sure you want to do that match now? That is huge. Belair versus Stratton. And then you look at what it does for the semis, because you know Cargill's going to defeat Jax. So you're setting up Cargill versus Belair. Beast on beast, monster on monster. That is a matchup for the ages. And they're going to do it as part of the tournament. Not even the final. They're going to do it in the semis. So it's very huge. You got to believe. I mean, who do you go? Io and Baszler, by the way. Valkyria is obviously going to defeat Zoe. So you just look at these quarterfinal matchups, dudes and the ladies, and on one hand, you're going, this is awesome. On the other hand, you're going, damn, Paul Levesque McMahon has his hands full because creative has to somehow find a way to have Knight lose to Tonga and Hayes take another L already on the main roster. He's already taken a couple. Now he's got to take another to Randall Orton. And for the ladies, how do you have Tiffany Stratton lose to Belair? It looks like that's where they're going. But how do you have Tiffany Stratton lose to Belair and then Cargill defeats Jax? That was another powerhouse match a lot of people thought was going to have proper build, and that was going to be a standalone marquee match, Jax versus Cargill. But again, that's happening in the quarters. Absolutely wild. Now, when it was all said and done, there was a lot of backlash onto WWE for these 4 matches not being televised. And especially Tiffany Stratton and LA Knight's matchups. A lot of people wanted to see Stratton's first matchup in the tournament, and a lot of people wanted to see LA Knight, obviously. So there was a lot of backlash. LA Knight actually posted something after his match, and he addressed the backlash, a little bit of a statement to the fans. And LA Knight says the following, and I quote, "I appreciate everyone saying this match should have been on TV. But no need to throw the live event crowds under the bus. Live events are where the WWE roster has as much fun as possible." So LA Knight is trying to tell everybody, relax, that's just round 1. The problem is, his next match, he's losing it, right? Because Randy Orton already planted the seeds for Tonga and him in the tournament. So I think that's the issue. They wanted to see LA Knight win a match in this tournament. But LA Knight is trying to say, relax. You know, live events, we want to bring something special to these events. There's been times in the past where titles changed hands at live events. I remember Bob Backlund dropped his championship, his world title, to Big Daddy Cool Diesel. I think that was like Madison Square Garden. But that was a live event. And it's happened a number of times. US title, IC title. They've changed hands at live events. So I think it is a smart decision to bring some substance to these live events. And this was no harm, no foul. There was a lot of first-round matches when you add in the ladies with the dudes. If you want to put 4 matches at live events, I had no problem with this. I wish the finishes would have had a lot more creative into them. And I would like these matches to be highlighted starting tonight on Raw and on SmackDown. Just because they were at live events, don't fail to put a focus on them. Still show some highlights from the match. Make sure that there's an interview afterwards with the winners. Things like that. You still want to put a lot of emphasis on them. But LA Knight speaking out on the fan backlash to his and several other matches in this first round not being televised. Now, the King and Queen of the Ring is not the only big PLE coming up for WWE. That's in 12 days. But in just 4 weeks, there's another big one from Glasgow, Scotland. Clash at the Castle. And there's a report that WWE is concerned over ticket sales for that event. An article from BBC reporting many fans in Scotland who are hoping to attend the big event simply cannot because the ticket prices are just too high. The article reads, and I quote, "Wrestling fans have hit out at, quote, extortionate ticket prices for WWE's Scottish pay-per-view show Clash at the Castle. The premium live event comes to Glasgow's Hydro venue on June 15th, where the cheapest ticket is $300 with premium tickets more than $2,000. Several fans saying they have been priced out of the event and will miss the chance to see Scottish wrestling talent like Piper Niven, Alba Fire, Nikki Cross, Drew McIntyre, among others. One fan saying to be able to get one of these live events in Scotland is quite a big deal to us. We were planning on getting me, my dad, and my cousin over. But overall, it would be $900 for us all to go and watch WWE with the worst possible seats. It's just far too much." Glasgow's Hydro venue has a maximum capacity of 14,300 people, but hundreds of seats are still on sale. A WWE spokesperson told BBC Scotland News that some tickets had been on sale at lower price points across 2 nights at the venue. But let's take a closer look. Looking at the current seating map, WWE has to be more than happy with the tickets sold. Now, the bottom bowl closest to the ring definitely backs up this report. Hundreds of seats remain in the highest ticket price bracket. So this absolutely backs up the claim that fans in Scotland are simply not having it. But when you look at the entire upper bowl, the bulk of the venue, it's nearly sold out. That's the master shot visual WWE wants to show on game day, and they have that pretty much sold out. The lower bowl will fill out much more in coming weeks. You have 4 complete weeks still to sell tickets, even if WWE has to take a little bit off those pricings to accommodate. But more tickets will be sold, and on top of that, WWE will just fill those seats with plants and local talent if needed. They've done it so many times in the past. So this isn't really a concern for WWE as much as it's just unfortunate for Glasgow, Scotland. And a lot of fans upset that they can't go to this show just because WWE, they feel, is just gouging them. They feel WWE is doing them dirty. But WWE knows that they can fill that venue up. It's going to be interesting to see if they even cut prices. WWE's been known in the past to stay stubborn and stay consistent with their pricing. But when you think about it, if WWE was to cut those ticket prices, that would create a logistical conundrum, as all those in the upper bowl who couldn't afford the lower bowl or didn't want to shell out that much money, they'd be pissed when they see the price being cut, and they'd be wanting refunds galore. So that's just one of those things where whoever does the price pointing for WWE, they missed the boat with the fine people of Glasgow, Scotland, and their financial highs and lows. They just, that was an absolute miss. So that is a huge story for the Clash at the Castle. Sticking with WWE, 2 more big executives gone from the company. This is a running theme with this new era of WWE. It's a running theme under Paul Levesque McMahon. Executives either walking away, running away, or just getting Das Boot. We'll start with Michael Levine, Vice President of International Events and General Manager of Emerging Markets. Whatever all that means, it sounds important. This dude has left the company. And Steve Rubin, Senior Director of TV Relations, no longer with WWE. Rubin was with the company for over 25 years, by the way. And word around the campfire is he was actually released. Now, this left a former WWE talent, current AEW talent, Ric Flair. This left this dude pretty upset. He was not happy about that news. Ric Flair says the following about Steve Rubin being released by WWE, and I quote from Ric Flair, "This is the worst professional move I've ever seen in my entire life. To let go of a man who was so generous and so good, who accommodated everyone." So Ric Flair, man, lately Ric Flair has been taking jabs, some uppercuts, and even going for knockout punches on WWE. And it's just odd timing because this is Paul Levesque McMahon's era, right? This is a time where Paul Levesque McMahon finally gets to sit atop the pedestal. And you would think that Ric Flair would be, happy and not praising WWE, but maybe not trying to knock him down. Ric Flair saying a lot, man, really hitting WWE really hard ever since Paul Levesque McMahon has gained all the power in the company. I wonder if a little rift between Ric Flair and Levesque McMahon. That's interesting. Ric Flair not happy and not holding back on his feelings about the company making, and I quote, "the worst professional move he's ever seen in his life." And he's seen a lot of wrestling moves and decisions, and that is the worst, he says. But the bigger story here is 2 more executives gone. No matter who left on their own accord or if there was indeed a release, if Rubin definitely after 25 years got Das Boot, listen, it happens in business. I hear that. And when Endeavor took over and UFC is merging with WWE and all this is happening, you're going to combine departments. People are going to just be phased out of a job. There's no longer a position for them. And they're getting all this money. In business, you just got to cut the ties. I get it. But these are a lot of top level, the highest you can go executives, and they're all leaving this company at a crucial time. So it begs the question, is there a way you can keep some of these individuals? And again, some of them are walking off on their own accord. They don't want to be a part of the new era, whether it's Nicholas Khan or Paul Levesque McMahon, or they just don't want to even see Dana White in the hallways. They just don't want to put up with any of it. Ari Emanuel, they just don't want to be a part of this WWE. It's wild, right? You thought that the atmosphere and everything would be so much better to everybody would want to be there now more than ever. And then again, the releases on top of that doesn't help. That sucks. 25 years with the company to get Das booted. Hopefully they gave him a nice gold watch or something, right? Speaking of gold watches and Ric Flair, didn't the company already give Ric Flair a gold watch, like a Rolex, him and Shawn Michaels? Or maybe it was just Ric Flair, but it was WrestleMania 24. It was supposed to be Flair's last match. Not just in WWE, but in pro wrestling. Of course, that didn't happen. Or it happened 36 more times after that, his last match. But WWE gave him a nice Rolex, I believe. Anyway, hopefully Steve Rubin got one as well. Flipping over to AEW, this is a big injury. We don't have any concrete word on this, but word going around is that Eddie Kingston may have a significant knee injury from New Japan Pro Wrestling Resurgence. Double or Nothing is 13 nights away, Sunday, May 26th. Now, Kingston is scheduled for a grueling match, Anarchy in the Arena. So that's why this is a massive injury. This isn't just a regular match or just a tag match where you can lean on somebody else for most of it. Anarchy in the Arena is a regular match amplified 100 plus. And I doubt very much that Kingston would take himself out, so this may be a case where AEW would have to step in if this injury is significant enough. And then you're having the same WWE injury and replacement bug switch over to AEW. Now you have to find a replacement for Kingston. And this isn't just any regular match or replacement. This is Anarchy in the Arena. So it has to be somebody that can take on that grueling match. And on top of that, it has to be somebody that makes sense against the Elite. Wrap up this upload. Let's take a look at Monday Night Raw, May 13, 2024, headlined by 4 big matchups. The quarterfinals of the men's King of the Ring and the quarterfinals of the women's Queen of the Ring. Tonight, Gunther takes on Kofi Kingston, and Jey Uso takes on Dragunov. Over on the ladies' side of things, you have Valkyria versus Zoe Stark and Io Sky versus Shayna Baszler. Going to be interesting. You got to believe Gunther's taking on Kingston and he will defeat Kingston. You got to believe Dragunov will take care of Uso. And you got to believe they're setting up Gunther Dragunov. Whoever wins that match will no doubt be the king of the ring. Calling it right now. Be wild. There's no way they can have Dragunov be defeated by Jey Uso. And there's no way Kingston can beat Gunther, right? So yeah, it's got to be Gunther Dragunov. And I just can't fathom that they're actually giving that matchup away in the tournament and not as a standalone attraction match. Wild, man. And for the ladies, like I said, there's no way Zoe's beating Valkyria. She just got to the roster. You want to show that audience, especially the part of the audience that doesn't know a lot about Val, you got to show her why they should care. Io Baszler, that could go either way, man. That's a toss-up. Io was just the champion. Baszler has been given no consistent dominant booking. None that has been consistent since she has been with the WWE. I don't see how you can start with the person that just gave up that championship, Io. She deserves much better than that. So I gotta believe this is gonna be Valkyria versus Io, Gunther versus Dragunov. Anyway, that's right. We'll find out tonight, man. 4 big matchups. That's all we really know for Raw. SmackDown, they were really tournament heavy with their promotion, but Cody Rhodes was announced at the last second, and that ended up being the biggest story coming out of Friday. Cody versus Logan Paul and that segment. So even though this is all we know for Raw, they could have a lot more planned for the big show tonight. So, of course, BC will be with you guys within the next 24 hours for the Raw review. It'll be fully amplified, so hopefully you guys are able to catch it until that next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC saying check you. Peace!